Hello, Quantitative Literacy. Today we're going to be working on the 6.2 Budgeting Strategies packet. Your task is to complete sections 1 through 4 before next class. In this packet, we're going to be learning a few things. The first, we're going to be looking at how to differentiate between wealth and having a lot of fancy things, the importance of creating a budget and paying yourself first, and some of the key aspects of 3 popular budgeting strategies, the 50-30-20, zero-based, and cash envelope. Again, your task for today is to get through sections 1 through 4. The video is going to explain how to go through some of the sections if you need additional assistance. You can also email me if you have any questions along the way. Number 1 is a discussion prompt. Please read the question and answer and share as you're going to go through. We will review these sections later, so I'm going to ask for some people to share out what they thought. Question 2 is something different than we've done this year, but it's an interesting activity. You're going to go through a couple of rounds of activity where you're going to be classifying different parts of a budget. So we're going to be looking at it and classifying things in different ways. So our first is going to be looking at the idea of fixed versus variable, and then we're going to go through and looking at it, how often it's going to be paid in terms of weekly, monthly, and annually. And then we're going to look at also wants and needs. The last one is something that ranks of importance, but that's more of a personal decision. So you'll be able to have a little bit more freedom within that one. The idea of this one is you're going to pick one of these boxes up here and drag it into a space that's necessary. So for example, this first section is about fixed versus variable expenses. So housing or rent is something that has a set price that's going to stay the same from one month to the next. So you can pick that box and drag it to a space down. Right? And then you're going to do the same thing for each of the other boxes. So next box that's sitting here is utilities. Utilities are something that can vary from month to month because of the different usage. So this is your electricity, your water, your gas, etc. So that changes from month to month because you may use more or less depending on how you use things from month to month. So again, click on, drag to a space, and drop it in. There's more spaces than is necessary potentially as you go through things. You may fill up every space. Once you fill up every space in a section, you should have all the ones that belong there. But again, you may not fill every space in any given section. Continue on. Round 2 is going to look at expenses in a different way in terms of how you pay for them. So now we're going to be categorizing it and dragging and dropping the same way. How often do you pay the rent? How often do you pay the mortgage, your utilities, etc.? So for example, in this case, your rent is paid or your mortgage is paid typically on a monthly basis. So you drag that to the monthly. Right? As you look at these different things, you can decide. Some of this is going to be a little bit varied along the way. For example, your personal savings goal. You may choose to do something about that weekly. You may choose to do something about that monthly. You may choose to donate to that annually. So you could put personal savings goal in any of the categories. So some of these do have specific places, but some are discretionary and can be chosen by you. But again, drag each one. All of them should fit into one of the categories. If you're not sure, pick your best spot. If you think it's something that maybe you have some choice on, you can put it where you want. Right? For example, groceries. Some people shop weekly. Some people actually shop for the month. I doubt anyone shops for their groceries for a year. But again, you have some leeway in where some of these will end up. Right, round 3 gets into the idea of wants and needs. We've seen this in the previous packet, so think about some of the things that we've talked about. And again, some of this is discretionary, but the majority of this, there really is some certain things. Like you need housing, you need groceries. But when it comes to internet, do you need it? Right now, as a teacher online, I need the internet. But if you take away online teaching, I wouldn't need the internet. I would like it, right? So there's certain things along the way, right? So again, you can make some discretionary decisions in that section. When you get to round 4, this is where you're going to start prioritizing. And this section is really far all up for grabs. And the idea is you may need to slide things around. So you can. So if you decide that housing and rent is number 1, but then as you work through realize, oh, I think something is more important, I can move each box wherever I need just by dragging and dropping. So again, you can decide what's most important to you. This section really is completely open-ended. All right, so everyone can just have a different answer to this one. Now, when you're done with this, you are going to go through some reflection questions. And again, this is one of those things of please answer the best you can. Read the questions carefully and answer as you need to. Question 3 and 4 are going to be sections like we've looked at before. Question 3 sends you to an Edpuzzle. You can watch the videos and answer the questions as needed. All right, rewatch the video if you're not sure of how to answer a question. Question 4 sends you to a NerdWallet site. And as you go through again, read the article because this is going to describe the 50-20-30 budget. It also, as it does, a 50-20-30 calculator. So you type in the amount of money you need and it splits it up by category. But the idea of this budget is 50% goes to one thing, 30 to another, 20 to the other. So really it's just multiplying your total by that amount. So you can do it yourself or you can allow the calculator to do it for you. And so we're given a set amount. And then we have another section of needs versus wants. Once you've completed that, you are done for today and you've completed what you need to. If you choose to, you can go to section 5. This is wants versus needs. This is actually a follow-up to what we did in the first packet. And if you want to work through this, you can. This is not a required section, but it definitely lets you look at and reflect on some of your own wants and needs using the 50-30-20 method, which is a really common method for good beginning budgeting. So again, this is an optional section that is not required, but it is a follow-up to our previous sections. We will pick up with section 6 when we come back together in a live session. So if you have questions on anything throughout the rest of this, please email me. I will be checking throughout time periodically if you have questions, how to answer questions, anything you need to know, please send me an email.